It is with a heavy heart I leave my parents. The previous weeks were so delightful. I felt really lucky to have spent this time with them. Booker too, of course, but it was time to move along. I need to get back to LA soon, and there's 5,000 miles between me and there. Not to mention a bunch of photo tours for CNET. I've mentioned this before, but I've gotten a few questions about it, so I guess I should explain. I'm a freelance travel writer, but my specific niche is a bit different than you might expect. Sure, I've written about what and how to pack and how to travel for months at a time, that kind of thing. But my main gig, with CNET, is to tour and photograph museums all over the world. And not just any museums, but aviation museums, car museums, train museums, and ship museums. If there's a submarine within 500 miles of where I am, I'm probably going to go photograph it. If this sounds like a very specific and narrow niche, you're not wrong. Before I started traveling, it never occurred to me that this would be a way I could sustain long-term travel. It all happened rather by accident in a tiny little town on the coast of France. My mom had actually emailed me that there was a submarine there I should check out. Even before I was making money taking pictures of them, I've always loved submarines. I even wrote 2 books about city-sized ones. It turns out the sub in this little French town wasn't just any sub, but the only nuclear missile submarine in the world that you can tour. I pitched it to my editor and he said it seemed cool. So I did a story on it, and it blew up. The story, not the boat. I don't want to give away any potentially proprietary traffic numbers, but suffice it to say it was getting thousands of views per day. That's more than a lot. I was floored. My editors were floored. A new niche was born. Since then I've toured museums all over the world. An air museum in Malta, a car museum in Riga, an American destroyer in Taiwan, and not just military stuff either. Medieval castles, island citadels, and a bunch of long-distance train journeys. A fair amount of work goes into these, actually. There's the visit itself, then choosing the best among the hundreds of photos I've taken, and then further editing the best of those. Then comes the writing of all the captions and then the article itself. It's creative and it's fun and it lets me stay traveling. I love all of it. Which brings us back to now. I've got a bunch of these tours planned over the next few weeks, including 2 museums I've wanted to see since I started this whole thing. Depending on when you're watching this, there might be links to some of them in the description below the video. So without too many scenic stops planned and a lot of tree-lined roads to cover, what you're seeing here is about a week and a half's worth of driving, all condensed down into one video. South from New Hampshire, through Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, a brief stop in New York before heading down through New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland, then making a hard right turn west through both Virginias, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa. I did make a slight detour to Riverside, Iowa, though, a town notable as the future birthplace of none other than Captain, later Admiral, then later Captain again, James Tiberius Kirk. Captain Kirk was, or will be, born here on March 22nd, 2233. He later, quite famously, rise to the rank of captain, seeking out new life and new civilizations, boldly going all over the galaxy in command of the Constitution-class Starship Enterprise. The town of Riverside is a quiet little town, surrounded by miles of flat Iowa farmland. The lampposts have signs that celebrate the Star Trek cast, and there's even a cute little museum with memorabilia. Across the street, a bronze statue of the man himself. A tourist trap? Absolutely. Did I love it? Affirmative. Then it was back on the road, across the breadth of Iowa, and the long burn across the wide state of Nebraska. Highway 70, across the plains in the center of the country, once again arriving in Denver. I'd hoped to stay a week in the Rockies before heading home, but I could tell long before I arrived in Denver that wasn't going to be in the cards. The wildfires from further west had blown their massive smoke clouds across the entirety of the U.S. Visibility was limited, and I had already noticed the particulates making my skin itch and my breathing harder. I figured it wasn't going to be easy adding that to the already difficult time I have at altitude. That suspicion was more spot on than I'd realized. But more on that next time. Thanks for watching.